everyone. I'm Pete Rice. I'm a transportation planner with the DOT, and I was the project manager for Movimiento, our transportation plan for the East Side. And I've been working on this quick strike project for the last year plus with many of my colleagues who are here tonight. I'm not going to do introductions because I just want to get into the material, and then we can discuss the stuff I'm going to present. So let me start with this presentation here. I share the screen. Okay. So hopefully you're all here for the Movimiento Quick Strike project. We had one of these meetings last night where we talked about the corridors to the west of King Road, and tonight we're talking about the corridors to the east of King Road. So I'm going to begin with what we know, and that is our planning basis for when we started this design process and some of the data we have that have informed our designs. And then from there, we'll look at what we've heard, where I'll go over the outreach we've done to date and the feedback we've gotten during the past 2 years of design work. Then we'll look at what we're doing. That is the treatments included in our designs, and we'll talk about how these treatments address the issues we've identified, and then also discuss some trade-offs. We're going to pause at the end of each of these sections for questions and comments, and you can add your comments in the chat. Natasha and Colin are monitoring the chat as we go along. We'll try to stay on topic and follow the meeting rules, as I was saying earlier. So with that, let's start with what we know. So in Movimiento is the transportation plan for East San Jose that we wrapped up in early 2020. And so with this plan, we work with the community to develop a network of projects to address community identified issues and achieve community goals and city goals. The 7 quick strike corridors were among the projects identified during the Movimiento planning process. These are some of the key takeaways from the Movimiento planning process. So we asked community members about challenges to walking and biking and taking transit in East San Jose, and high vehicle speeds were cited as the #1 challenge. And we also asked about potential treatments to address issues, and traffic calming and enhanced pedestrian crossings were 2 of the treatment options most supported by the community. We asked community members about their priorities for improving transportation in the Movimiento planning area, and safety and health were among the top community priorities. And then finally, something we heard quite a bit from the community is that implementation of projects is a priority, right? In other words, less talk, more action. We were politely asked to start delivering on projects. So that brings us to how we got here tonight. This project was made possible by a grant from the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, that's MTC. It's a program they call Quick Strike. We were awarded $1.4 million for design and construction of 7 project corridors from Movimiento. The catch is that these projects have to be ready to go relatively quickly. You can see from the timeline here, this is actually a little longer than the initial timeline because we received an extension, but initially we had about a year to complete or to have these projects ready to go. Shovel ready is what it said. So these are the project goals that we've been stated from the beginning, and I think they align well with what we've heard during Movimiento. We want to make these streets safer for all, but especially our most vulnerable roadway users. We want people to slow down, and we want to create a network so people can access a lot of the great places we have on the east side. So for those of you that are new to this project, it's these corridors in green that we're talking about. Tonight, we're focusing on these, we call them 3 corridors. It's really kind of 4. So all of these except for 21st Street are bike boulevards or shared streets, meaning bikes and cars share the same travel lane. And to make that safe, we employ traffic calming. So for streets like the 7 project corridors, where you're going to have bikes and cars sharing the lane, we have target speeds of 20 miles per hour and volumes of 1,500 cars per day. As you can see from this chart, nearly every segment, save for 21st Street and Sharp, exceed that 1,500 target ADT. My computer really wants to update some software. It keeps making that noise. I don't know if you guys can hear that. It's a little annoying. Anyway, so you can see 21st Street and Sharp are the only ones below that 1,500 car threshold. A lot of them are more than double. You can also see that speed is an issue. So 85th percentile speed, that's this column right here. All of them are at least 25 miles per hour, and most of the time it's closer to 30, if not above 30. And speed is a very important issue. You can see here the chances that you will survive a collision increase dramatically as speed drops. At 20 miles per hour, you have a 90% chance of surviving. When you get to 40, it drops to 20%. And this here is a map of our Vision Zero corridors. So Vision Zero, if you're not familiar, is a citywide program to eliminate traffic-related deaths and serious injuries on our roadways. These Vision Zero safety corridors, these are the most dangerous streets in San Jose. And you can see many of them are concentrated here on the east side, the southeast. There's also Saratoga Avenue in the west, but a lot of them are over here. Now, we're doing our best to make these streets safer. But what we're also doing is providing safe alternatives. So you can see there's King Road here and Jackson Avenue here. That's what this one is. And then among our project corridors, we have 33rd Street is a project corridor. We have Sunset, we have Jose Figueres. Those are and Sharp. Those are all parallel to these. So alternative routes is one way to put it. Then going east-west, of course, we have Santa Clara Street here, Story Road. And then in our project corridors, we have William and Cameron, and then we also have a project from a few years ago on San Antonio. So that is some of what we know. Do we have any questions or comments before we go on to what we've heard? See a few chats.
Well, you mentioned Jackson.
Yes.
So we're going to need another meeting on Jackson. And like you said, Jessica has more information, and that's why I'm just requesting another meeting on Jackson.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was saying, another team has been working on some near-term improvements, and Jess can fill you in on that stuff. And then, we were awarded, we thought we were going to get $10 million. We were awarded about $4 million. We are working on securing some more money, but we're just going to have to do it piece by piece and keep looking for these pots of money.
I mean, who did we make mad? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, we got a lot of money through OBAG. It was overall a success.
Yeah.
We also need a lot of improvements. So
$1 million would have been a success.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else? Should we go on? All right, let's go on. So what we've heard. So what we know was that was the takeaways from the planning process, the grant requirements, and some safety data. What we've heard is the outreach that we've done the last 2 years and what we've heard from the community during that outreach. So this is the outreach overview. This is only the design portion of outreach. So we started that in September of 2021. And we've really done sort of an unprecedented amount of outreach for a design process. Usually a lot of the outreach happens during the planning, and then the engineers go and do their work in their labs to design streets. But we've opened up that process a bit and talked to the community quite a bit. We've had 3 rounds of design review where we've asked for community feedback. We've also gotten community feedback from the Movimiento community advisory group, from some neighborhood associations, and then we've hosted 4 public meetings, and we also have a website where you can provide feedback. And either Natasha or Colin, can you provide the link in the chat to the website? I'm sure all of you visited when you registered for this event. But we have the designs on the website now, and there's a comment box there. So if you don't get to say what you want to say tonight, you're feeling shy or whatever, you can leave a comment there, and I will get the comments, and that will be part of our design review. Yes, okay. And then this is some of what we heard during the design process. These are the key takeaways from our outreach. Some of it's the same as we heard during Movimiento, not surprising. There's a desire for safe streets. Someone else is coming. And for people to slow down, right? And when we discuss specific treatments, people really like the idea of chicanes and high visibility crosswalks and speed humps. And then we had some initial confusion about what exactly a bike boulevard is. People heard the word boulevard and they were like, why are you putting a boulevard on these small residential streets? So we had to clear that up some. And then recently we've heard a little bit of concern about parking removal. So that's a summary of the outreach from the last year and a half. Do we have any questions or comments, or should we get going on the treatments?
Are we talking about King Road here or no?
No, King Road is not
Okay.
part of the
Okay.
quick strike. It isn't
Okay.
a Movimiento project, but not a quick strike project.
Okay,
These are all the smaller quick build bike boulevards. So in this section, I'll go over the treatments included in the designs, talk about their benefits and how they address the issues that we've just gone over. So again, I touched on this briefly, but just one more time since there's been some confusion. A bike boulevard is typically a street that does not have room for bikes and travel lanes. So people on bikes and drivers must share the travel lane. And to make this safe and comfortable, we employ traffic calming. And traffic calming means infrastructure and striping that increases driver awareness and encourages slower speeds. And this is just a bit about the materials we're using. So this project was originally envisioned with quick build materials in mind. A quick build means cost-effective paint and plastic treatments that one can employ in the near term to see project benefits quickly. We've used this quick build approach a lot with the Movimiento projects because we're trying to deliver the projects ASAP, right? We heard you all when you said you wanted more action and fewer words. And this doesn't mean that we're not going to pursue long-term beautiful treatments, like they have over in Nagley Park. We will, but for this project, this is what we're using, the FG300 curb system. So these FG300 posts and curbs are highlighted on the plan set with a 1 and a box around it like that. So this is what these posts look like on the plans, and you'll see this 1 with a box.
can I get a question for clarification?
Yep.
You mentioned not like Negley Park. When did they start?
When did they start?
Yeah, when was whatever area you're talking about that's been improved? When was that?
I don't know the entire history of Nagley Park. Jess was here. I bet she would have a better idea, but it definitely preceded my time at the city.
Okay, so that's before 2021, before we started this.
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But Danny, you keep talking about Jackson. That $60 million for Jackson that we're trying to get, that would be an example of a long-term project. That would not be these quick build materials. That would be concrete and planters and things like that.
That's the long-term, not the quick build.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right, so let's get into the treatments then. So the first treatment we have are curb extensions, also known as bulb outs. Curb extensions increase visibility by preventing parking close to intersections or at mid-block crossings. And they also reduce the crossing distance for pedestrians and encourage drivers to slow down. You can see where the white is here, that's where the original curb is. You bulb it out, and then you only have to cross this much, whereas originally you had been exposed for the entirety of this red line. And then this is showing how you could take a sharper turn as you go around this corner without the bulb out there. Here you have to take a more gradual turn. These are the corridors where we have curb extensions. They're one of our more common treatments that we're doing, and this is what they look like on the plan set.
Where on camera is that?
I would have to look exactly at
Okay, okay. Just note the question there.
Yeah, usually they're at the corners, so I would imagine at King Road. This is a picture from 28th Street, but
Right.
on camera as well. And then this is a rendering of what it could look like when we do curb extension. So this is 28th Street looking south, and this is what it looks like today. And then if we advance a slide, this is what it could look like in the future. You can see this car here would not be able to park as close to the corner as it did. That, you know, being so close to the corner blocks the view of this driver here of a pedestrian coming this way. So it'll be safer, better visibility.
So is that going to be red where that car is now as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there could already be red there. I think
Yeah.
there's another picture. It looks like there's a lot of illegal parking. That's one of the things that this project will help with.
So real quick, that crosswalk is not narrowed by a concrete bulb out.
No.
Okay.
And I should add, I made this image before the final designs were done. There will not be a painted crosswalk there.
Will it be an enhanced crosswalk with stripes?
There will not be a crosswalk on 28th, except for at 28th and San Antonio, right by the store there.
So I can tell the people I represent there, or not represent to, but talk to, why is a crosswalk being removed?
The crosswalk's not there today. That's just, I drew that in.
Oh, nice. Okay. Perfect. I love the clarification, man.
Yeah, see there's the original.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
All right. Okay. So the next treatment we have are hardened center lines. So by hardened center lines, we mean we're going to install the FG300 down the center line of the street as it approaches to intersections. Hardened center lines, they prevent left turning drivers from making, you know, these sharp turns across crosswalks where people may be crossing. So it slows drivers down as they're turning.
And that's that yellow plastic, right?
Yeah, it will be
Okay.
white in ours, but I found this picture that I thought looked pretty good. This is in Portland.
Yeah.
So these are the locations. Again, pretty common treatment. This is what one would look like on the plan set. Actually, we have bulb outs here and a hardened center line. So this will create a bit of a pinch point at this intersection. And then you can see we have them, like I was saying, that at on all these corridors.
So real quick, notice that those four corners are not parallel or perpendicular to each other.
Yeah, it's not perfectly
Okay.
square. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because that's an issue that blind people have. And that's why in crosswalks like that, we've asked for, well, we said bricks, but DOT said no. But we could put hardened concrete with brick forms in it so that the blind can feel with their feet where they're going. Because as you know, Mary and her husband at Little Portugal, they would walk into traffic by accident because they were blind at King and Alum Rock.
Yeah, that's the one crosswalk that you talk about a lot. Yeah, Natasha's actually done a lot of work on this issue in her previous job. I don't know if you have anything to add there, Natasha, not to put you on the spot.
Oh, no, that's okay. So, right now, so this project is not going to change any concrete, but as we look for long-term solutions, the city is no longer using these diagonal ramps because they do not, you're correct, Danny, orient you to how to cross the street, which direction to cross the street. It kind of shoots you in the middle. So whenever possible, adding 2 directional ramps at least. And then we also have begun a better relationship with the Independent Living Resource Center and the Silicon Valley Center for the Blind to get best practice on how they train blind and low vision folks that use their center. And so we're really trying to get up to speed and how we can provide the most accessible environment possible. So if this project gets funded and we're able to do, you know, the hardscape pretty improvements, which we hope to do, we could be straightening out the intersection, adding concrete bulbs that would make it easier for people with disabilities.
I want to thank you guys for recognizing that.
So let's go on to what a hardened center line might look like. This is 28th Street again. I believe 28th in San Fernando. Again, I added a crosswalk, so it's not going to be there, so don't get too excited about it. But this is what it looks like today, and then this is what it could look like. And this, I can't tell if this is red curb, but this guy looks like he's parked pretty close to this fire hydrant. If this had been here, I doubt he would have parked there because he would have been blocking traffic, right? So just another example of how this treatment can make things safer, other than, you know, slowing down the left turns.
So Pete, there is no red line there. And
There is a red line.
curb.
There is a red line here.
Yeah.
I can't tell if it's farther. It doesn't look like it's farther, actually.
But in our neighborhood, the same thing. There is no red curb in front of the fire hydrant on East St. James.
People just park in front of the fire hydrant.
Yeah, we deal with that. Yeah, we have to call, we don't call traffic enforcement, we call the cops. Because that's a safety issue in our neighborhood.
And do the cops come?
Yes, and they ticket.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I've been a little shocked at some of the parking behavior that I've seen. You know, we did that project on St. John, closer to downtown, and have the corners painted red like this, and it's striped out. I mean, you should know not to park on a striped corner with a red curb, and you know, and St. John, nobody parks there anyways. There's tons of parking spots, but people are parking illegally. Anyways, I could talk about bad parking all day.
Yeah.
Pinch points. This is the next treatment we have here. So we already saw one example on the plan set I showed you a second ago. This is oh, I got ahead of myself. So pinch points, they're someone's drawing is still on there. So pinch points are a combination of the first 2 treatments, curb extensions and hardened center lines. This picture actually doesn't do our pinch points justice because we have a row of posts in the middle. And they reduce vehicle speeds by narrowing the roadway, right? If you think about driving through a toll booth, there's room for your car to fit through, but most of the time you slow way down. You don't want to, you know, hit the toll booth or scratch your car on the post or anything like that. So we already, like I was saying, we already saw one on the other plan set. This is mid-block on camera. You see the 3 lines of posts and then posts here, so you can't squeeze by on the sides. We have not as many pinch points as some of the other treatments. We got them on 6 corridors here, or 6 streets. Yes, Danny.
So if you go back to the other photo, you're gonna notice that the in your bulb out there, that fire hydrant is in danger.
This one?
Yep, somebody's gonna hit it when they don't see that. But the rules are, I think, that the fire hydrant has to be 2 feet from the curb, right? Something like this, you could have left it if it was originally there. The fire department allowed us to leave the one on Elm Rock away from the corner at Calderone's.
Yeah,
If you notice that, so they allowed us to move it back so that people on Alum Rock don't run right through it.
this is just an image from NACTO.
Yeah.
This is not one of our designs.
Right.
It's just there to look pretty.
Yeah, that's just a FYI though, bro.
Appreciate it. All right. And then, so these are the corridors or the streets where we have these pinch points. And then this is a rendering. So this camera, we're looking east, of course, at the hills. And then this is what it would look like with the pinch points. So you can see it's narrowing the roadway. You're going to slow down because you don't want to hit these posts, or I hope you don't want to.
Are you gonna put them on more sections than just this one at camera? I mean, if we have streets and this is successful, are you gonna put them at multiple spots on the road?
Yeah.
Okay.
So these are the corridors, and you can go into the plan sets. When we were doing this project early on, we would go corridor by corridor and look at all, and it took a long time. And I think, a lot of people lost interest. I feel like just going over the highlights here and some renderings it's better. And then at your own leisure, I encourage you to go to the website and look through the plan sets if you want more. Let's go on to the next one. That's median refuge islands. So these are somewhat similar to the hardened center line, but instead of one roll of bollards, we're gonna go 3 wide. Like the hardened center lines, they encourage slower turns and safer crossings, and they also narrow the travel lane to encourage slower speeds. So pretty common treatment, as you can see from all these corridors. This is what it looks like on the plan set. So you can see here, the hardened center line was just one down the middle. We have a row of posts here, then a post in the middle at the front and back, and then another row of posts. So 3 posts wide. Again, with the one getting the FG300 curb system. And then, so this is where we're installing one. This is Sunset Avenue and Camera, right by the garden there. And there we go. This is what it may look like. You can see it's narrowing down this lane here, so you'd be less likely to speed through there. And then here is another example. This is on William at 18th, I believe. We're looking west. And this is what that might look like. Next, we have chicanes. So chicanes are where we use curb extensions to create an S curve in the roadway. And this encourages drivers to slow down since the roadway is no longer a straight shot. You have this shifting line of sight. And one good thing about these is emergency vehicles can get through as compared to speed humps. They can still get through speed humps, but they have some trouble with them. Joan, were you gonna chime in?
I only wanted to say one thing about the chicanes, which until last night's presentation, I wasn't really sure how these would be implemented. And I realized that on there we go, that on South 17th at San Antonio, they actually did put in a chicane, and I never noticed it because it's at a T intersection and I turn left. So I've never had to do the S curve, but when I was walking, I realized this is a chicane, and I think it actually works there because people need to kind of go around it on their way if they're going to San Carlos. So I just wanted to say, I thought that chicanes work better in real life than I thought I saw on last night's presentation. So thank you. Nice,
that's good to hear. Yeah, there's actually, there's one on, if you ever come to Stanford campus, there's one on Unibro Serra. They put in some over there. And
well, I rarely leave my own neighborhood, much less San Jose, but thanks. I'll keep an eye out if I'm ever that way.
I for whatever reason, I drive that road a lot. And you really have to slow down to go around them. And that's a road that really needed it, that people speed on that all the time. I go to the Dutch Goose. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that. It's a really good burger place in Menlo Park. Little plug for it.
So I built a lot of stuff at Stanford. I know what you're talking about.
The Dutch Goose or the chicane?
No, the Dutch Goose.
Yeah. Okay, back on track here. We're talking chicane locations. We don't have that many of them. We have 33rd Street, Bonita Ave, Sunset Ave, and William Court. So we liked putting chicanes on some of these streets that were, yeah, you only have parking on one side, right? So even though it's a narrow street, it feels wide because you don't have parking on both sides. And with the chicanes, we're actually shifting the parking back and forth from different sides of the street. So that's adding to the chicane effect. So this is 33rd Street. From an aerial view, what it looks like today, you can see the parking is just on the left side, the west. And then this is what it will look like afterwards. This is not the exact location of the chicane, but you can see we shifted the parking over to the right, creates this S curve. You have to slow down. And the way it works, there will be 2 more of these down here, so you go back and forth. It makes it so it's no longer just a straight shot. If you've ever driven down 33rd, it's a very straight street, and people really get up to some high speeds on that street. Here is another view. You can see how straight it is. Again, parking on the left here, and then you add in the posts and the chicane, and then the parking moves over to the right. So you have this S curve here.
And this is going to be shared bike lane, right?
Yeah, all these streets except for 21st Street are where the bikes and the cars ride in the travel lane.
You know, yesterday I was on San Antonio Street and there was a guy on a bike. Man, I'll tell you what, it was a pleasure to slow down behind him.
What I like to hear. What part of San Antonio?
Right there by the church. But you know me, I'm never in a hurry, bro. I'm retired, so
Nice.
I could have been following a chicken.
Oh, I see Anna's drawing on the image. Did you want to add something?
Joan has her
sorry,
hands up. I'm sorry about the annotation. That was a mistake.
Oh, Joan?
I just wanted to say that Danny is a model of the person who understands the bike boulevard. I was walking today on San Antonio and there was a person who was absolutely exhibiting road rage behind a motorcyclist to the point where he was moving over into the oncoming lane of traffic, which actually stopped somebody who was coming west.
Yeah.
And I just thought, we've always talked about we need to do more education to people what is a bike boulevard and what it means to share the road. This guy in this big red pickup, he was like, no. Unlike Danny, he had no patience whatsoever, and it was frightening to watch.
Yeah, I agree. When we had an event over at the Portuguese church, and we rode San Antonio and hung a left on 28th Street coming from downtown. And, to get over to make a left, we were taking the lane like you're supposed to do, and someone was laying on the horn. It's a little frustrating. Still plenty of education and work to make it so that people don't feel comfortable, driving so fast on these streets.
And truly intimidating the bicyclists like they're entitled. That was the worst part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I've ridden a lot, but if I was, a newbie on the bike, or, who knows if I ever would have ridden again,
So you had a good point. Education, you and Joan had a good point. Education is the key. We have to get into those neighborhoods in the east side, in the East Valley, where these new additions are going to be, and let them know, because somebody from Gilroy is not behind that guy, Joan. That's somebody from San Jose who's behind that guy. So we have to get education into the parents.
Good point, Denny. Let's go on to traffic circles. So these are our final treatments. They're also known as mini roundabouts. This treatment slows vehicles through uncontrolled intersections and reduces dangerous collision types. You don't have the head-on collisions or T-bone collisions. So we've recently installed some of these at along San Antonio, as many of you know. But for this project, we're going to be using these different materials. It's still a quick build project, but instead of these ceramic domes and paint, we're going to be using these bolt-on rubber and plastic curb systems. This is an example from San Francisco. You can see the approach island as well. So we only have one traffic circle in this project in the plan set, and it's this Jose Figueres and Alexian Drive. You can see this is a pretty big intersection, and if you're driving here and there's nobody coming, you can really just go straight through. No reason to slow down there. So with the plan set here, you can see just how wide around this guy will have to go north, right? This is quite a detour from where you could drive previously, and same coming the other direction. It's no longer a straight shot through. You really have to slow down. And of course, this crossing will be nicer too, because you'll have to come out a little wider. You'll have better viewpoints for pedestrians coming around here.
And you know why that's good is because there's senior housing near there. The senior center is down the street, and there's low income housing. There also the Checkers, Rancho Verde and Checkers area right there, walking to the hospital right across the street, and the other medical buildings that are there.
Do you think, Danny, that there's a need for more crossings across Jose Figueres to the medical center and the hospital? Oh, you're on mute there.
Technically challenged. I'm not a big fan of crosswalks in the middle of a block, because people, unless they're really visible, like the one you put on, the one that Ernesto's sister lives on in San Antonio, the one before the school.
Yeah.
Something that's
Got a new one near the church as well.
Yes, right. When they're well identified like that in the middle of a block, I'm okay. On Jose Figueres, at Checkers, at Rancho Verde Drive, I think, because Checkers is the other street. Rancho Verde is a good place, and then you have up there at McKee, and then down here you're going to have the chicane from Alum Rock to Jose Figueres. So I'm not seeing a need for a crosswalk from here to Alum Rock.
Yeah, no, I was thinking more up north. There's a park there, and it seemed like an opportunity to break up the street a little bit. It's one of these long straight corridors when you get a little further up north from what we're looking at here. Anyways, not part of the presentation tonight. We can talk about it at another time. All right, so let's move on to trade-offs. So this chart here that lays out the benefits of each treatment, right? All these treatments, they slow vehicles, and sort of depends on where. So it could be intersections, it could be around corners, or at the mid-block locations. Additionally, some of these treatments, they reduce the crossing distance for pedestrians. That's one of the things we heard during the Movimiento. There's too many long crossings, and some of them also increase visibility. So there are some trade-offs though, especially with chicanes and pinch points. They may reduce parking, and I know for some people that we've heard that's a big concern. So we did some parking counts over the last couple months, and these are just the corridors we're removing more than a few spots. So if we're removing 1 or 2 spots, we didn't do a parking count, but we wanted to get a better idea of the impact of removing parking. In most cases, there will still be on-street parking available after the implementation of the parking. There's this last block of camera. It's just one block where we're taking out 2 spots. There's already no parking available at the peak. So there'll still be no parking available at the peak. And then William Court, that's that one long block where you have parking on one side, and now we're gonna have parking switching back and forth. It's not a lot of parking right now, 1 spot available at peak, and there will be no spots available at peak after the project. Ultimately, this parking audit did not change the designs of the projects. Right, safety is our #1 priority as a city and a DOT, and the treatments we've included here are the best way to address the safety issues. We know that, you know, this is difficult for some people and frustrating for some people, but like I was saying, that safety, absolutely our #1 priority. And
Do me a favor.
yeah,
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to work my reactions here. I was trying to raise my hand. The camera numbers are 76. Can you explain that?
yeah. So this is you're talking about right here.
Correct.
So yes, so the way this works is they measure the curb length on a corridor and divide it by 20, which is the length of a parking spot. So that's how many total parking spots a corridor has. Then they set up, so we hire a consultant to do this. They set up cameras and they monitor the parking activity over the course of several days. And they determine when's the peak period. For this, these are all residential streets, so they're pretty much all overnight, 11 p.m. Camera, I think, was slightly higher at 7 p.m., but I'm sure the numbers are very similar at 11 p.m. And so they monitor how many cars are parked in that section, right? And so for camera, there's 298 spots before the project, and there were 222 spots used up at the peak period. So the difference there is the 76 spots. We're taking away 9 spots, so that's how you get to 67 there.
Oh, okay. That's perfect math, man. Thanks.
Yeah, you made me do math live on camera. That's sweating a little bit there.
Nice.
And then I was just going to get into a little bit about speed humps, because I know people wonder about that. Everyone knows what a speed hump is, or most people do. They're one of our more common traffic calming treatments. We did look into speed humps. Our engineers came to the conclusion they are not the preferred treatment for corridors like 33rd and William Court, where we have these long straightaways with parking on just one side. With speed humps, drivers slow as they approach the speed hump, but then immediately afterwards they speed back up, sometimes even faster than they were going before. And with chicanes, you don't have this clear line of sight, so you're kind of going back and forth, and that we understand that makes drivers slow down for longer on the corridor, for the whole corridor, rather than just at the speed hump spot. So that's why one reason why we think chicanes are a better treatment for these corridors. And then the timing. So I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but the city has a speed hump petition process that requires, it basically takes a long time to locate a speed hump. And we have a quick turnaround time with this grant, like I was saying at the beginning. It's called Quick Strike because you gotta turn it around quickly. And so the speed humps were not a good match for this project for that reason as well. And then finally, the cost was an issue. There was an earlier iteration of this project where the designs included speed humps. This is from one of the earlier plan sets. But the cost estimates for that iteration came out to 2.4 million. So that's a whole $1 million over budget. So a lot of reasons why we didn't do speed humps with this project. I know a lot of people were wondering about that, so I wanted to clear that up.
Are there other areas in the city that are getting speed bumps?
I'm not sure. I assume there are, but that's not really what I work on.
Okay, yeah.
Colin may know, or someone else. Next steps. So As I said a couple of times, this is, a quick turnaround. We're looking at construction in the fall. It was originally supposed to be in the spring, so we pushed it back a little bit to continue this design process. And then while we're constructing these and while they're on the ground, city staff is going to pursue funding for the longer term improvements, like I was talking about earlier with concrete and planters and things like that, the beautiful stuff. And then we are also going to do an evaluation like we did on San Antonio. Once everything is built, we'll be looking at speed data and sending out surveys and looking at crash data and all the kinds of things to help us understand, are our treatments effective? Are they slowing people down like we hope? Do people feel more comfortable on these corridors? Are more people riding that or walking, that kind of thing? And then that evaluation will inform whether we need to change things and what we should include in our long-term designs. So that's what I have for the presentation. I'm happy to take any more questions or comments that you guys have. We've already talked a little bit.
Could I make one comment totally unrelated to Quick Build?
Sure.
So last night I had asked about the stop signs on 20th and 22nd East San Antonio. So I went walking by there today because I hadn't noticed stop signs bagged, but there are posts. There are posts on the north-south corners, ready to go. But it was interesting that they're like square perforated posts instead of the usual round cylinders that you see our street signs posted on. So I thought that was kind of cool because it looks like with those perforations, they can just attach signs with bolts instead of having to do those wraparound things in the back. So it does look like progress is being made, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah, sure. That's good to hear that they're already out there. I know it's taking a little longer than we thought to switch it up, but they will be there soon. And I don't know if you're aware of this, Joan, but if you recall from our CAG discussions and from the evaluation, the original plan was to just do the circle at 21st, make it hardscape, see how it works. They're now doing all 3 circles at once, so they're all going to get the full build treatment all at once. So
Good to hear.
It will look nicer and be more effective. Plus the 2
Great.
stop signs.
So I have a question, the chicanes that we're planning, I really like that, man. I really like that. I was hoping to maybe see some greenscape behind each curve. You know how you have the right turn on San Antonio going north on the King Road? How that concrete's there?
Yep.
If that was like a chicane, right? I could see some landscape in there.
Yeah. I'm not sure about that location as far as landscaping goes, but
I'm talking about the chicanes. I'm sorry.
yeah, long term, that is absolutely one of the benefits of chicane. I think we had it in an earlier slide, an earlier presentation from about a year ago, but you can add some greenery to the street with a chicane. And it's one of the benefits for sure. Yes.
So if I could add on to that, earlier people were talking about traffic calming in Negley Park.
Mhm.
Well, those medians that were put in, they had spaces for landscaping, and CCA, the Campus Community Association, actually has a beautification committee that goes out there and maintains those medians, the landscape, waters them, prunes them. If they die, they replace them, they clean up around those intersections. And so if we think about putting in greenery, then we also have to think about how they're going to be maintained, because irrigation really wouldn't be possible. So we don't want to put plants out there just to have them die.
Yeah, and in fact, when we were doing San Antonio, I was asking around the department, how does Negley Park keep their stuff green? And it was like you said, they have a group that does it. And so I asked if that's something we could do for the area around San Antonio. I was told that For liability reasons, we don't really want to organize residents to go out into the roadway to water plants and things like that. So I don't know if this is one of those things where it's grandfathered in for Nagley Park, because they did it a long time ago and nobody cared if people went out in the street and watered the medians, but there are some obstacles to doing it on other parts.
Pete, I don't think it was a situation of asking permission. I believe that they just do it. I've actually volunteered with them, and they have safety cones, slow down signs, tape. I mean, they are very aware of safety, but I believe they take it into their own hands. I don't think they ever got permission.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
Well,
my take on it. I'm a new volunteer to their group, but they are very safety oriented.
yeah. So the new traffic circles on San Antonio, I think, are going to have greenery in the middle. I haven't heard what the maintenance plan is, but Joan, if you're going to go out there and water them, don't tell me. Okay.
My lips
I'm
are
not
sealed.
responsible. Danny?
Oh, no, I was gonna say that in Plata Arroyo Park, for places where the city neglected to put irrigation, but planted trees and plants that have since died, a cactus that creeps, like the little ones that go like this, and then they have a little one that grows, and in 3 years it would be full of cactus.
Succulents?
Yes,
Yeah.
drought tolerant,
Right. That's the other thing. It's drought resistant plants and
right.
stuff that's appropriate for our ever changing climate.
Yeah, not the cactus that goes up, the cactus that goes out. And not ice plant.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Like I was saying, if you're feeling shy and you have opinions, you can add them on the website as well. Anyone from the city team want to say anything?
I would like to clarify my ramp comment earlier. There are many people in Department of Transportation that implement curb ramps. I was speaking that in the long range planning team, our team, directional ramps, that's 2 at each corner pointing in the way that you will cross, are the standard. We are working to make that the standard across all of DOT. It is really project specific, but it's becoming more and more commonplace to have the conversation, and it's taking internal advocacy and pushing, and we're working on it.
All right, we're at an hour. That's about how long we took last night. So if nobody has anything else, I think we can call it an evening.
Okay. Night, everybody.
Just let's set up a Jackson issue.
Absolutely. So Natasha has been taking notes this whole time, and we have some follow-up issues for sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Good seeing
Thanks,
you.
Danny. Thanks, Joan.
Good night.
Everyone.